Let's talk about Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I've been playing a preview build of the game. It's a small demo on PC, primarily on my Steam Deck, of this game that is coming out in mid-April by Sandfall Interactive. And it first came on my radar, I don't know, sometime in the fall or winter of 2024, purely from the UI spectacle that is their turn-based mechanics. It's a turn-based, so what is the game? It is a turn-based RPG, very JRPG-esque. It's a turn-based RPG, adventure fantasy game, set in this world, in this fantasy world where there's a massive monument in the distance, and every year that transpires, the number on it, there's a giant number on it, and it counts down. And every year it counts down to the ages above it, whoever, so if it was 34 and it goes to 33, everyone 34 years old, Thanos snap, just start dissipating, die, disappear, wither away. And the time in which this game takes place is when the number 33 is up, it's in the distance, and there's an expedition, there's a group of characters that you follow and that you play as that are trying to stop this from continuing any further. And so you play as these characters on this adventure to prevent the continuation of this problem. That's high level from what I understand the story to be. It does this adventure in a very JRPG-esque way, very much turn-based combat. You enter an encounter, you're in a static encounter, and you have, I think, 3 or 4 characters in a roster that you can then take turns doing your actions against however many enemies you're facing. And again, the biggest thing I can say about this game is it's the artistic designs and creative decisions they've made with this. This studio, to my understanding, I've never played or seen any of their prior works. It's a fairly new studio to my understanding. It's a European studio, and you can also it bleeds into the game, and a lot of the architecture and a lot of the designs and a lot of the tonal decisions that they make with the vistas, with the type of attire, kind of has a European steampunkiness to it, mixed in with this fantastical magic elements to it. So it's a world filled with magic and fantasy creatures and just blending industrial society with these other elements, and I have been vibing so much with it. Like I said, I've been playing it on Steam Deck. It is a joy to play on Steam Deck. It runs pretty well. Again, preview build, I wouldn't say all the visual elements are at their sweet spot yet, but the gameplay is just so nice. And so I do want to talk about the gameplay. So the gameplay, like I said, very turn-based RPG, but they with turn-based mechanics, so much so it's almost like it's a gameplay element, combat choice, however you want to describe it, that feels like something of the years of old. When I think of turn-based combat, I think of older Final Fantasy games, and I think of Pokemon, where you're just sitting there, you're taking your turns, and that's it. And we love Pokemon because of their charm, and Final Fantasy has this rich history. Whenever I see a new game, turn-based mechanics aren't always the thing that I think many in the gaming world jump straight to. There is a fandom, but as years go by, even like in the Final Fantasy space, you saw 16 and the 7 remakes and Rebirth. They're dabbling with a more real-time kind of action-y combat. And so to find ways to make turn-based combat still interesting is the challenge I see, studios like Sandfall and Atlas with their Persona games, and with Metaphor, Refantasio recently last year. Gotta be careful here. Those types of studios and those games that they've prepared, I think have all done something a little different, or brought something to the table that makes it a interesting enough experience to find still very enjoyable. And I think we see a lot of those elements here, in maybe serving as inspiration for this game, for Expedition 33, with how it operates. Very much some of the elements that I love are, it's the UI, and this is where I'm going to liken a lot to Persona 5 and Metaphor. The UI and UX design as you're navigating the combat points is very fluid, and it's very engaging, and it's very just immersive. When you're going from choosing an attack to choosing a spell to checking your inventory, while you're just making a decision on what to do to which enemy, it just navigates to different parts of the angles of the combat to really just dive you into it, and also just give this fluidity to each of the menus. It's not just like a, hey, enter new screen, hey, enter new screen. There's something that that, it may not seem like a lot, but every minute that I've been exposed to games that do something like that, the more I've grown to appreciate it. And it just makes that whole, when you spend so much time with a specific aspect of a game, every bit of that you can make feel interesting or impactful, I feel like you get a lot of return on your investment for how much a game will, like this, typically asks of you to grind, to do the combats, to jump to all these. It's the constant back and forth in that sense that really makes it, the repeatable stuff, not feel mind-numbing. Many times you'll have games that just they don't have those softer edges on those parts, and those sharp corners can, one time may not be bad, but if you're engaging with it 50, 60, 100 times, wear on. So that goes a long way for the turn-based combat. The other aspect of it that makes it very enjoyable is the blend of the way in which it blends in the real time. There are prior games that have done this: Super Mario RPG, Sea of Stars most recently that comes to mind, Paper Mario, where in the middle of the combat you have opportunities for kind of like a little mini QuickTime event to respond or to amplify something. So if you're attacking, if the window pops up, you're able to press the button at a particular timing, and it amplifies the attack to do additional damage. Or if you're being attacked, you can either parry or evade, and if you parry, you mitigate damage. If you evade, at least as far as what this demo showcased, if you evade, you can gain additional action points for when your turn comes, allowing you to do more things or bigger things. So those elements really make the combat a standout space of this. I never tired of doing any element of combat with this game. The parts, so yeah, that's most of it. The demo, you're going through the story, and I really want to highlight the story bits, because the way it presents the story, like I said, the premise, the age, is dwindling, I feel like is ripe with potential. And I think with the quality that they're bringing to it, and the voice acting that they're bringing to it, they have a star-studded cast for this thing. The Charlie Cox, Ben Starr, amongst many, many others that I can't remember off the top of my head, but the full roster of all the main characters and supporting roles that are in the game is just amazing. I don't think they would have just joined on for any game. I think that there's something of substance, something of weight here that they were able to entice them with, to say, hey, this is a worthwhile thing to be a part of, to be a member of this project. And the premise very much feels like an inverse Children of Men to me. And I remember with Children of Men, I love that movie so much. It was like the absence of youth and what it does to those that remain. I feel like this is very much potentially the opposite of the absence of the elderly and the burden that puts on the youth, or the lack of wisdom that is lost from those older than us, um, and taken earlier than natural causes. And I think there's a lot that could be done just from what I've seen in the trailers and from what the game has shown. These characters all have something that they're motivated by, and that they're chasing, or that is fueling them to really bring an end to this kind of overpowering, just bad presence, energy, magic. Um, and I'm very excited. Like that invigorates me with like, okay, I want to know what the story here is. So those two, the combat and the story, are like what I think are the biggest highlights of this demo, and what I continue to be. I feel a little bit more firmed up on how I feel about those things, because at first it was all just like you see something, you see it from afar, and you're like, okay, that has potential, but like when you get your hands on it, something may not click, and here it just clicks. The areas that I'm like, I don't think it's without its potential for criticism, because I'm like, where's the other shoe gonna drop? Like what ball is it gonna drop to potentially miss here, or to potentially not knock it out of the park? Like it'd still be good, but what could stop it from being great? And that really goes to the moment, like what are you doing in between combat? In the demo, every little bit I was just kind of like, if it wasn't a story beat, it was just running to the next part of the path. And there was a few little mini things to pick up here and there, but like nothing really worthwhile to do besides enjoy the scenery, take in the visuals, and listen to the characters talk. Doing that for a little bit, again, like it isn't bad, but you have to think about it with a 30 to 40 plus hour game, an RPG especially, that can start to like wane on you. You're like, okay, I do know what I like, but the in-betweens aren't fun. I worry that there may not be things in between. Now, they have said publicly on a number of their trailers, there's going to be a plenty of overmap worldview, like side quests to go to, visit, to explore, and things to chase. And that makes me optimistic. So unless they really drop the ball and those missions aren't very engaging, or this moment to moment isn't really addressed to the full game, that's where I could see something potentially not hitting and resonating, I think, in a big way. But overall, I think they have a strong recipe here for something to succeed, to do really well, and it really just like it's like, if it nails what it's doing, it's up there for like what I think could be my games of the year this year. So I'm very stoked. I'm very excited for this. It's coming out next month, so I'm very eager and excited to see how it turns out, and to get my hands on the full game. It ran pretty solid on Steam Deck. Again, the visual elements just look like they weren't fully refined in this demo build, so I feel like that kind of stuff always gets polished when they're on the tail end of it, before they're shipping. So yeah, I'm stoked for this game. It's gonna be on Game Pass, so if it does nail it, the Game Pass just has another big win under their belt. And yeah, I'm very curious what you think of it and what your concerns could be, or what are your feelings in general towards this. Is this a game that has interested you? And yeah, let me know what you think. And that should conclude today's episode. Thanks for joining, as always. I appreciate any of the support you have, any feedback you got. I'm kind of just recording as we're going. We got thoughts to share, we got things to do, and we love talking about games. So thanks for stopping by. I'll catch you guys next time.